Okay, I was first asked today to provide just some information on advisement, specifically the distinctions between the various computer science or computing degrees. So I wanted to let you know where I am here is we're on cs100.com, and this is the advisement intro. So everything I'm about to present is contained here, although in the narrative here that I've written, it's probably more comprehensive. So when I was department chair, I continually got questions, what is the difference between computer science, information technology, computer information systems? Because students going into this, they often don't realize the differences. And then again, as I've mentioned throughout this course, computer science computing has become very sub-discipline specific, much like medicine, with oncology and geriatrics, things like this. We have networking and web design and programming and database administration, AI, etc. Okay, so on this page, the advisement intro, again, off of the advisement menu, first you'll see I just collected some resources for students, what to do with the AVN, your advisement number there, how to use DegreeWorks to register for classes, some important phone numbers. So I did provide that as well. So jumping right into the differences, distinctions between computer science, CIS, MIS, and IT. Computer science is this theoretical study of computing, and it really is foundational. It may be the best preparation for continued learning throughout the course of your lifetime. And again, as I introduced, the ACM, the Association for Computing Machinists, Code for Ethics and Professional Conduct, stipulates that we have to remain abreast. And one of the best ways to remain abreast is, of course, if you have that proper foundation to learn anything new that comes along. So again, computer science really is the theoretical study of computing. It really doesn't have a whole lot of applied concepts. We do learn to program, we learn about algorithms, things like this. So programming, of course, is applied. But when you look at theoretical networking, database administration, database management systems, you're not really learning how to do it, okay, at least in an enterprise setting. At the other end of the spectrum, information technology. Information technology is almost entirely applied. Okay, it's very useful immediately upon graduation. The question becomes, do you have the proper foundation to continually learn and assess new technologies? And I'll give you an example. Right before we launched our Cisco Network Academy here at Hudson Valley, I went through RPI's Cisco Network Academy just to see how they did it. So I got the Cisco curriculum. And the Cisco curriculum, it's kind of devoid of foundational constructs theory. So as an example, I was learning OSPF, which is their, open pathways. And I'm being taught, I'm having to memorize all these rules, all these exceptions. Okay. Um, but I continue to research what is Cisco's OSPF. And in one textbook, I found it's based off Dijkstra's shortest paths first algorithm. And once I knew that, I didn't need to memorize all these rules, all of these exceptions. So the way that Cisco taught it it was the opposite of what I felt, education and computer science education should be. So again, in a matter of seconds, seeing that Cisco's OSPF is Dijkstra's shortest path first, I understood it completely. So that's the merits or the advantages of a pure computer science curriculum. You have the theoretical foundation to understand everything in computing, as long as it's from the ground up. And you've heard me say that over and over throughout the course of this course. So computer science, theoretical, IT, applied. In between is our computer information systems program here at Hudson Valley. And when we were developing this, and of course, it's a continuing endeavor, it provides kind of the best of both worlds. So you're getting the computer science theory, but you're also getting the application. Because when I went to the University of Albany undergrad, and I graduated computer science, Bachelor of Science in Computer Science. And upon graduation, I was going straight on for my master's, but upon graduation, I questioned what I actually knew in the applied context to go out and work. I had all this theoretical knowledge, but I'd never, configured a router, a switch. I'd never managed a database. I'd programmed, of course, but all these little things. So I was unsure of myself. So the CIS degree that we offer is that blend, and I believe it's necessary. You need the theory as a basis to learn throughout the course of your professional careers, but you also want the skills to hit the ground running. Okay, you want to see how it's applied, and again, they contribute understanding each way. Now there's this other MIS, Management Information Systems. Management Information Systems focuses more on the business side, the management. I've never considered an undergraduate degree in MIS to be really useful, maybe even valid. And why do I say this? I believe, at least in this area, you need to be able to do the things that you're managing the people that they do, right? If I had no programming experience, how could I manage a team of programmers? I could present them with a problem and they could come back and say, oh yeah, it's going to take us, several months to complete. When if I programmed, I may realize, no, I could probably do that myself without a team in about 2 to 3 weeks. Okay. It's very difficult to manage people in areas that you don't have expertise. Now, the MIS degree is a wonderful graduate degree up at the MBA level. But again, I'd argue that you have to have those skill sets in place before you even get to that MIS degree. So an MBA, with an MIS concentration. There is one other area, and I'll talk about gaming here in just a minute, but computer engineering. Computer engineering is very closely associated with computer science. It is computer science, but of course, the focus is on hardware. Whereas a computer science degree, quite often you're getting theory, you'll do programming, so the algorithm design and understanding. And of course, those algorithms are part of the hardware that is in the computer engineering degrees. Okay, now looking at the rigor of these various degrees. If you're going on in computer science, accept that calculus is in your future. It will be required. Minimally 2 semesters. For your better programs, you're going straight through for differential equations. It's been argued, does calculus actually benefit computer scientists? And I'm not sure it does. What it does show is a high level of abstract thinking, which is necessary. So it's complementary, or maybe even will reveal if you have computer science qualifications in you. IT will not require calculus. And as you know from our course here, our curriculum here at Hudson Valley, CIS does not specifically require calculus. If you're going on, I do recommend it. Just because Hudson Valley, we're going to teach it better. It's going to be more smaller class sizes than what you might find at a 4-year institution. The next question I get is, what is the difference between the associate in science, the AS, and the associate in applied science? The associate science is a transfer degree. So if you're transferring to 4-year school, whereas we deem the AAS, the associate in applied science, as a terminal degree. It's a working degree. You're getting the skill sets to go to work immediately. Now, why is this? Per SUNY and New York State Department of Education, associate in science degrees must have 30 or more liberal arts and science courses. Of course, what this does is it restricts the number of electives you can take in CIS. And this, again, is what the 4-year schools want. So the 4-year computer science program wants you to complete all of your liberal arts and science so they can teach you computer science up at that upper level, junior and senior level. The AAS degree only requires 20 credits of liberal arts and science. So essentially, you get to take 3 additional courses in CIS in contrast to the transfer AS degree. And this creates a conundrum. Hudson Valley is exemplary, and I'll make that statement. We are known across the state for our high-level curriculum. And I'll give you some examples in just a minute. For one, consider that University of Albany offers junior level credit for 2 of our courses. That's very rare. In fact, we are the only institution in New York State that gets junior level transfer credit at both University of Albany and RPI. And RPI has told me back when I was chair that the transfer students they get from Hudson Valley exceed and excel beyond any other transfer students. This includes students transferring to RPI from Cornell. So we're doing our job here. Um, the conundrum in choosing between the AS and the AAS is those advanced courses. As an example, in our database management systems course, CIS is 250 and 251, we teach our DBMS in Oracle. It is very rare for four-year schools to teach in Oracle because when you get out to the workforce, that's what they want. If you go to New York State, GE, any of these large companies, likely New York State and GE are Oracle, but the other large companies are likely to be Oracle based, okay? Walmart really is not using Microsoft Access in the enterprise. It's Oracle. So we teach Oracle, again, which is rare, even in the four-year schools. The distinction may be most evident in our networking. Hudson Valley, we teach through the CCNP, and that was our goal from the outset. We wanted to be beyond what the other institutions are offering. So if you look at the Cisco Certified Network Academy, okay, the CCNA, which is the first level, the Cisco Certified Network Associate, is taught at most, community colleges, even components of it down in the high schools. It's not only rare, but we are now the only institution in New York State that teach through the CCNP, the Cisco Certified Network Professional. And these are very different. The CCNA, you can expect starting salaries in the 40,000, maybe low 50. CCNP, you're looking at $70,000 a year to start. That's what some of our graduates have earned. So, you want a four-year degree. You want to go on to University of Albany. So really, you should be choosing the AS, the transfer degree. But the problem is you want those advanced networking courses because when it comes time to graduate from University of Albany, you probably have about 100 or so computer scientists. What if they're all going for the same job? If you have that CCNP, you are head and shoulders above them. So that's something the student has to decide. Do you take extra courses at Hudson Valley? Do you come back and finish up and complete the CCNP? Especially, cybersecurity, the areas such as this. Okay. We have different tracks, really just to help with student advisement. Again, students rarely know coming into the program what they want to do. So we've laid it out in tracks. So I'll leave it at that. Now, what other questions do I get? Game design. We get a lot of questions on game design. Seems everybody wants to be a game programmer. And there are various different areas within this, there's user interface design, UX design, and there's programming, of course. If you're going into game programming, or actually any design, know that you have to be the best, okay? Getting into gaming is incredibly competitive. Everybody wants to do it. Rock stars of programming, right? Most new students don't realize they want to get into gaming, but you're going to have calculus as a requirement. If you consider games today, at least action games where players are shooting at each other, things like that, you have vectors, right? The bullets, whatever is a vector, and the players are moving, of course. So you have vector transformations. So if game design is in your future, in your mind, know that you need to take calculus 1 and 2 and really 3. And again, not just pass these courses, going through and getting, C's, maybe B's is not going to be enough, likely, because you're competing against other students who've gotten A's. They know they want game design too. So it's an incredibly competitive environment getting into game design. So just know that. Now, opportunities are increasing in game design because they're looking at this for simulation. So really, flight simulators, all these things. So professionally, the military is using them to treat post-traumatic stress syndrome. So medical therapies, things of this nature. So game theory and game design tenets are now being seen in other areas. It's not just restricted to game design and game programming. So if you have questions, I do recommend you read through this. That was a very brief presentation I've just given here, and there's probably more information here than I've actually covered. So at least in the narrative here. So I do recommend you read it. Um, any questions? Can I answer any questions on transfer or the environment?